everybody. Welcome to Talking Fitchburg on this Monday, February 1st, 2021. Happy February, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Did you shovel? It's a dumb question. Of course you did, because there was another snowstorm. And that was, we got treated to the nice, light, and fluffy stuff. Now we got treated to the wet and heavy stuff. So, whoofda. That was a lot. That's all I'm saying. We have a great show for you today. I don't have a lot to talk about off the top here because we got a lot to get to. We'll get you the latest headlines coming up here in just a second. We'll also take a look back. We talked with one of our police officers who was actually wearing many different hats and starting a podcast here with the Fitchburg Senior Center. We'll share the details coming up on that in our digest, and then we're talking about clearing out those fire hydrants and why it's so important. We'll check in with Adam Dorn. Make sure that you do make sure to keep those clear of snow, and certainly we've had a lot of that. So that's all coming up on today's show. Let's get right to the headlines. And we start with the McKee Farms Park warming shelter is now open. If you didn't get this over the weekend, well, now you know. Starting today, the McKee Farms Park shelter will be open as of warming house for the outdoor ice skating rink. Please follow all requirements of the warming house to maintain safety for all of the hours for the warming shelter will be based on ice conditions as followed. Monday through Thursday, 3 to 5 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday, 12 to 4 p.m. The warming house is to be used as a place for skaters to put on and take off the skates gear when using the rink. Restrooms will also be available for use during these open hours. Due to COVID-19, we ask that the shelter is only used for this purpose, nothing else. No gatherings will be allowed in the shelter, and social distancing will be required. Masks and face coverings are also required. When in shelter, no concessions will be available during the open hours. Skating at the ice rink still allowed and encouraged during these off hours of warming shelter. The shelter and restrooms will not be open outside of the posted hours. That's for your safety, of course, as we continue through the almost the holiday season. The cold winter season, but want to make sure you take advantage of getting out and doing some ice skating. We'll talk about this, adopt a hydrant, and all part of making sure that you keep those fire hydrant spaces clear of snow and ice. According to the Old Farmer's Almanac, Wisconsin is going to have the heaviest snow of the winter during the month of February. What? You mean there could be more? Let's hope the Almanac's wrong. Isn't this? Oh yeah, isn't like tomorrow Groundhog's Day? So we'll find out, right? Whether you've been diligent clearing your nearest fire hydrant or for the first time this year thought about it, we encourage you to adopt the nearest hydrant. Show your love for keeping those clear. Share before and after photos of your hydrant during the month of February. You can send them via email to fire@fitchburgwi.gov or post them on Facebook. Tag us and include my adopted hydrant. I've seen some council people take advantage of this, so if you haven't, you should do so and keep things clear. Snow and ice. And again, we'll be talking with Adam Dorn coming up in our headlines or in our guest segment today about why it is so important, and it's all about time when it comes to making sure those are clean. All right, turning our attention to the police department. Imposter scams. We went through a little bit of this on the update this morning, but we're hearing about this again. So here's what we know. The Fitchburg Police Department received at least 2 calls from local mental health providers reporting that they had received suspicious phone calls from someone who identified themselves as a member of the Fitchburg Police Department. The scam caller utilized technology to spoof the main police department number and or provide a local phone number. Recipients of the calls today were able to recognize the suspicious nature of the call and ended the contact. This is the second time in the last 2 months local mental health providers received this type of scam call. It's not to believe scammers were seeking any type of medical information. In general, premise of the calls were consistent with the common phone scams, which the caller states the caller's recipient has an arrest warrant or failed to appear in a court case. Generally, these types of calls inform the recipient of the situation can be handled civilly or criminally. The recipient can settle the matter civilly by purchasing gift cards or wiring money or providing personal information. Not a good idea, folks. You do not want to do this. They also threaten that, of course, you'll be arrested if you don't make payment. Scammers often use publicly available information or public available information, often from businesses, websites, and other databases to add legitimacy to their call. It's wrong. They're high pressured, and you got to be careful on this. So if you receive a call from someone who identifies themselves as a law enforcement officer and you wish to verify their identity, obtain the person's name, agency, and badge number. Call the non-emergency number line. Describe the situation. These types of calls are just one of many common scams in circulation with the arrival of tax season and continued scams related of global pandemic. Citizens are encouraged to remain on high alert for phone and email scams. And of course, we want you to report these as well. You need to report them. It's the best way to get these fraudsters caught. So you can report those to the Department of Ag, Trade, Consumer Protection. We got the FTC where you can report as well. There's so many ways of doing. BBB can do that, Better Business Bureau. They can help you out as well. All right, that does it for our headlines. Coming up next, we open up our digest. We're talking with a police officer and social worker and podcast extraordinaire. We'll break it all down for you next right here on TF.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. Yeah, you just did that. Look at that. It's so sad. It's good. Here, put that over there.
Gaining weight was easy. All I had to do was sit down and eat. Losing weight's a lot harder. I have to work at it every day. But with every step, I lower my risk for type 2 diabetes and heart disease. And that makes every step, every choice, every day very much worth the effort.
Learn how you can help stop diabetes by losing weight, eating healthy, and staying active. Visit checkupamerica.org or call 1-800-DIABETES.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from the Fitchburg Senior Center, somebody who wears many hats, in fact, I have Eric Miller here. Eric, welcome to Talking Fitchburg. You are the future of, no, I'm just kidding. You are the future of the city of Fitchburg in some ways, but truly you are a one-of-a-kind employee that gets to wear a couple of different hats. And today we're going to talk about the Senior Center and the work you're doing down there. But welcome to the show. And how are you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing good. We've been working together here for the last month and a half or so, and you've been doing podcasts. And so now you get to finally see the reverse role and see me actually do some type of on-air work while we've been coaching you to do all of the work. and what you've been working on is actually pretty cool. It's a podcast, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But Eric, what are you doing? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing down at the Fitchburg Senior Center.
Well, I've been a city employee with the Fitchburg for about 5 years now. I've been a police officer there, and recently took military leave. I'm working out at the Air National Guard 115 Fighter Wing. I'm a cop out there as well, and backfilling for a deployment team. So I'm currently doing that, but while I'm doing that, I'm also going to school for my bachelor's in social work degree. And for my internship, I decided to select the Fitchburg Senior Center. So I'm working with all the ladies and one gentleman down there with trying to better our community as far as social work, and working and doing that.
Yeah, and Eric, you like you said, you've been employed with the city of Fitchburg for many years. How important? I think we've talked about this, but how important is it for kind of tying the social work? Why do you choose social work when you have the police officer role as well? Why are you bringing those together?
Well, having a social work degree, I think, helps when it comes to law enforcement, right? A lot of our jobs as cops is social work related things. As cops, we wear several different hats, and we're constantly trying to be the mediator, if you will, and working to come up with people's solutions. Lots of times, it's lots of stuff that we do. It's not what you see in the TVs, where we're out there fighting crime, breaking doors down, stuff like that. A lot of it is just trying to work with the community and see what the community needs, and then try to address those issues. Lots of times, you're dealing with your neighbor issues where this is my side of the fence, or this is your side of the fence, or things along those lines. So it's nice to have that social work background, so then you can understand how to communicate effectively with others and problem solve, and then address the issue. And lots of times what we do is we're forwarding issues to other city departments, such as the senior center, right? So a lot of our elder folks that we're dealing with, if they have mental health issues or any other issues, right? If maybe they need help with getting a ramp or stuff like that, we'll direct them to the senior center, and that goes for public works and parks and all kinds of stuff that we do with the city.
Yeah, there's a lot that happens for police department, and I'm glad you shared a little bit of that perspective, because that's something once I came to the city and learning more and more about what the department does on a day-to-day basis. There's a lot of things that you don't know behind the scenes that's happening in policing today. It's very interesting, but it's a lot of changing hats. As you are working on your degree and the work that you've done in the senior center, what have been some of the benefits, I guess, from your internship thus far? What have you learned perspective-wise? We've got some great social workers down there, so I'm sure they're helping you out as well. But what have your experiences been like?
It's been a great time through the senior center. It was nice that Sarah Folkers and Amy are the two social workers down there. And Sarah Folkers, her husband, was a cop with us for quite some time, so she understands what it's like to work shift work. And it's nice that if I come in late or something, they understand. Oh well, he was working nights the night before and got held over, things like that. So it's nice in that perspective, but then also learning from them, just kind of seeing how they interact. I don't have much of experience working with elder folks, which is one of the reasons why I picked the senior center. I've been a personal trainer for 11 years, doing things like that. So I've worked with a lot of different people, different, backgrounds and all that kind of stuff, and trying to learn how to, see what seniors need and see a different, lens, right? Look through a different lens is pretty crucial to kind of just be more mindful of what's going on around you, and also just seeing what other departments do in the city of Fitchburg. Why we constantly hear, well, why can't we as police get this, or why can't we get this? And then you start realizing, you go into a different sector of the city, and you realize, oh well, they also need this and they're not getting this, so why aren't they getting this? But then it comes back down to funding. So there's always you see the bigger picture of things when you start working in cross departments, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the another cross department. So that's why I started off this interview saying you wear many hats, and I this is probably the first time I've ever had to say it in such a fashion, because not only are you a police officer in the National Guard, working on your degree, helping out seniors, the community with the social work, but you're also being asked to do a podcast as well for the senior center. And that's where we've started to work with you, and we've had a blast working on this project. But tell us what you're doing with the Fitchburg Senior Center podcast.
So the podcast it was initially we were doing bi-weekly. We just switched it to do monthly, as it was just a little bit too much for me to handle with all my hats that I'm wearing. But it's social work with Eric. Social work scoop with Eric. Sorry, can't talk today apparently.
We're still working on that name, right?
Yep. So that's what we're calling it right now, and it's essentially just a topic a day, or a topic podcast, and the last one was about veteran benefits. So I just go in a little bit more detail of what the problem is, things in areas to focus on, and how you can improve that problem. So sometimes it's not even just problem based. There was a time before where we were talking about different types of housing and places you can put a loved one. So there's all kinds of different topics that we'll be discussing.
Yeah, and we're still working on getting this launched, kind of through a podcast software, if you will, where people can download this through a podcast app. And those details will be coming soon. But Eric, as far as getting information out to the community using this technology, some of you will be like, well, does the older population use podcasts? Does it, and I think this is interesting because it's great technology, and really heavily used actually by all generations.
Exactly. Yeah, it's it's something that's going to be pretty beneficial, I think, when it comes to that. I think there's, obviously some flaws when it comes to representing our lower income communities where they may not have access to internet or tablets or things like that. But I am working on another project, which is trying to include the Latino community. I've just got a language line service for us, so then we can have our staff using language services, and then we can be able to open up more programs in-house once when that time comes with COVID, obviously, but be able to include the Latino community with what we do as well. So that'll also be probably discussed in future podcasts as well. So.
Absolutely. And we're going to have you, I'm sure we'll have you back on our show here, Talking Fitchburg. But yeah, we want people definitely to check out your podcast. I think it's awesome going topic based too and having the time to actually explain things. You're sharing great resources during those topics, breaking it down. And it's a good perspective. You bring in a really good perspective that a lot of people don't have, which I think makes it unique and makes it work well. Eric, as we wrap up here, what do you want to tell your future fans as you work through this?
If you have any ideas, send me an email. We'd love to hear any more ideas for topics, and look forward to hearing more and telling some more topics for you guys on the podcast series.
We're going to turn you into a TV guy one of these days. We're working on it.
Who knows?
You're getting better. Every day you're getting better, my friend. Eric, thank you so much for taking the time. Look forward to working with you and getting this podcast out. And thanks for everything that you're doing day in and day out with all the hats you do wear.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You betcha. All right. We'll have Eric back on the show, and we will share that information where you can find those future podcasts here on Fact TV. We'll take a quick break. More to come. You are watching TF.
So how was work?
It was 1,300 hours. My math class from 302 was in the trenches. Davy Roth had it the worst. Fractions were coming at him left and right. He just didn't get the damn things. 2 days ago, I tried to teach him what 1/4 of 1/2 was using different sizes of blocks. Yesterday, I tried again by dividing up pizza. Both missions failed.
Oh no.
But today, I was ready. I created a combat math game where the only way to beat the enemy is to out-fraction them. Davy conquered every last denominator. My game was so successful, the principal is deploying it to math squadrons all over the school. Anywho, how was your day?
Oh, today my boss treated the office to salad wraps.
Salad wraps.
I know.
Find good stuff at Goodwill and bring good home.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from the Fitchburg Fire Department, it's Adam Dorn. Dorn, welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
Great. How are you, Jeremy?
We'll find out in a second. Today we're going to be talking about cleaning the snow or clearing the snow around your fire hydrant and why it's so important. You're like, well, what are you guys going to tell us that we don't already know about cleaning around those extinguishers? And the problem, Dorn, is you drive around the city and you notice that they still aren't cleared in a lot of places. And so today, maybe, just maybe, we'll spark some interest here on why it's so important. I've had the privilege of seeing you guys in action, dropping the line, hooking up to the hydrant, and then, trying to put out a fire super fast. Time matters. and if there was something that is clear today, it's all about timing. So tell me, Dorn, we don't clear this out. What are we losing? What are we causing the outcome of not doing this?
We are losing time, as you said. We're losing time, and time for us is very valuable because fire can double in size every 30 seconds, roughly. And if we don't have enough water to put the fire out, right, what's going to happen? The fire is going to continue to grow. So having a clear hydrant kind of sets up a chain of events for us to make sure that we can operate proficiently. So By having that clear hydrant, we're able to hook up our hoses and supply our vehicles with the water we need to put out a fire. It's that simple. It's that simple. I don't want to make it harder than what it is, because it's just that simple.
Absolutely. And I think from being in and doing some public safety work where I drove an ambulance, when you're responding to these scenes or responding to the calls, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts happening. And I guess if you could share with the audience, when you're coming up for a structure fire and you're seeing the flames and smoke, what's I mean, is it the officer looking? Is it the driver looking for the fire hydrants? And if you miss one, what happened? Kind of break that down for us, what that looks like.
So the driver is looking for hydrants, but he's using his vision. He's looking for hydrants that are in line of sight for him, what he can see as he's driving down the road. The officer is doing that as well, but we are also able to look at our computer where we have our CAD or computer aided dispatch. All the information is up there. We have a map that shows the address we're going to, along with where the hydrants are located in relation to that address. We also have a map book. So if the computer fails, we have the old school version. We can open up a map and look at it that way. So that's how we can tell where hydrants are. That helps. Summertime when there's no snow, it's great because we can just look down the street and go, yep, the hydrant's over there, 2 houses down. Not a big deal. But when there's snow on the ground, the snow from the road gets pushed to the curb. And if there's sidewalks, people will shovel their sidewalks, and depending on what side of the street they push it to, it may end up by the fire hydrant. So there's just a lot of snow that gets pushed up along the edge of the roadway or where the fire hydrants are normally located. So in Fitchburg, we have some hydrants that have big red flags, or like 4 or 5 foot high flags that are attached to them, so we can see them if they're buried. Because sometimes we get large amounts of snow in a shorter period of time where, people may not have had the opportunity to shovel out a hydrant yet. But that's just lets us know where they are. If they are covered, that still puts us behind, because now our firefighter has to get off the truck, find a shovel out the area around the hydrant so they can get to all the connections on the hydrant, and bring all of the equipment they need to connect the hose to the hydrant after they've shoveled it out. So sometimes that could be 30 seconds. Sometimes it could be a minute before they get there, because if it's hard packed snow that's melted and frozen, it could be almost ice-like around that hydrant. And that's just a huge delay. The reason that's so important for us is because on our trucks, we've only got 750 gallons of water. Yeah, I say only. It sounds like a lot when we talk about it in gallons. However, when you think about what our hoses can put out in the volume of water, we can put out anywhere between 150 and 250 gallons a minute. So 2.5, 3 minutes of water, maybe 3.5, depending on what we're doing. That's how much water leaves our truck, and now we have no more water on our truck, and now we're depending on that water from the hydrant to get there. And that's why it's so important to make sure that those hydrants are clear.
Yeah, it's almost like you're part of the fire department by helping clear out these hydrants. You're adding or eliminating, either way you want to say it. You're giving time and helping that timing of all of the events that happen to it, make that a smoother transition. There is a program, Doran, I hope you're familiar with it. There is some stations have Adopt a Hydrant, just doing it yourself, but we do have the Adopt a Hydrant, and you can sign up for this and take the pledge, if you will. Tell us why maybe you want to think about doing this.
Well, think about it this way. If you adopt a hydrant, right? And by adopting a hydrant, you're just saying you're going to take care of that hydrant in your neighborhood. Because what if it's your house that is on fire? If your house is on fire and that hydrant is covered up, and we have to take extra time to get water from that hydrant by clearing it out first, you're probably not going to be the most pleased that had to take place. But if you can do that on the front end of before we ever get there, and knowing that you're helping protect not only your home, but your neighbors' homes, it's one, you're giving back to your community, two, you're helping out your local fire department, because every second does matter when it comes to this.
Yeah, and I know we're focused definitely on the wintertime right now, but this is true even in the summertime as well, for grass, weeds, all of that. You're like, well, they can push those down there, but doesn't matter, right? It's
Right.
taking and clearing that space and giving you guys the time you need, again, to address the emergencies that are happening.
Absolutely. Yep. And one of the things people kind of tend to forget about too is that when they clear some brush out of their yard, or they've cut down a tree and they put all the tree limbs at the edge of the road, they just pile them up. Sometimes we've seen it as we've driven through neighborhoods that they've piled them up right next to the fire hydrant, and we kind of go, "Whoa, boy, we got to make sure we keep that in mind, because if we got to use that hydrant, we've got some other stuff to deal with now." So yeah, it's not just in the wintertime, it's all year long. Adopt a hydrant, talk to your neighbors. So maybe you don't have to do it every snowfall. Maybe you can work with 3 or 4 neighbors that, hey, this snowfall, I'll take care of it. Next snowfall, you take care of it. That way not everybody has to, that way everybody's involved and not one person has to do it all the time.
Yeah, I grew up on a street where we were the first house on the block. So we had the fire hydrant in front of our house, and it was a routine. Anytime that the snow fell, we shoveled it out. It was just part of how we learned to take care of it. And it just became a natural thing, like clearing your sidewalk off. So, if you make it that and work that way, and the places that don't have sidewalks, but you still have a hydrant, whatever you can do to get some space in there. 5 feet, great. 3 feet minimal, maybe we say. So 3 to 5, but any space you can give to get in there and take care of that, that will help. Dorn, thank you so much for the information as always. And we'll check back in with you real soon.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy. Stay safe.
You as well. We'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it. So follow guidance from authorities where you live and do your part. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit any social gathering. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us. Ready! That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu. And especially this year, no one has time to get sick. Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Wrapping up the show, I want to thank our friend Eric Miller from the Fitchburg Police Department / social worker / everything he does for the city of Fitchburg. We appreciate his time and sharing the podcast. Plus, Adam Dorn stopping in as well, sharing us information about making sure you keep those fire hydrants clear. Remember, you can stay connected with Fact TV. It's easy, fast, fun, and free. That's right. Check us out on social media, YouTube, Roku, Apple TV, and the website, right? Have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.